The job sounded easy. Sit in a watchtower, report fires, and follow a few simple rules. They told me the forest was empty. But on my first night, I saw another tower, and someone inside it, watching me. The road to Black Pine Ridge wasn't on any map I trusted. The GPS cut out almost an hour before I reached the turnoff, and after that it was just a dirt path carving through trees that grew too close together, like they were trying to close in behind me. No lights, no houses, no sound except the engine and the occasional crack of branches under the tires. By the time I saw the tower, the sun was already sinking. It stood above the forest like a needle, thin and tall, barely moving even as the wind picked up. For a second, I just sat there in the car, staring at it. Something about it felt wrong. Not broken, not abandoned, just waiting. Inside, it was cleaner than I expected. A small desk, a radio unit, a narrow bed, windows on all sides, and on the table, exactly where you'd notice it first, was a printed sheet. Follow every rule. No explanation. No signature. I smirked a little, assuming it was some kind of joke the last guy left behind. Forest workers messing with the new hire. Still, I picked it up and skimmed the first few lines. They didn't read like jokes. They read like instructions. Precise, cold, specific. Before I could read further, the radio crackled. I froze, then slowly turned toward it. A burst of static filled the room, loud and sudden, like something had just forced its way through. I stepped closer, expecting a voice to follow, but nothing did. Just static. Endless, aggressive static. I reached out and switched it off. The silence that followed felt heavier than the noise. That's when I noticed something else. The forest wasn't making any sound at all. No birds, no wind, no insects, nothing. I told myself it was just the height, just the isolation, just my mind adjusting. I grabbed my bag, unpacked slowly, trying to act normal. Trying to believe this was normal. But as the last light of day faded behind the trees, I looked back at the rule sheet. And this time, I started reading it carefully. Rule 1. Log every light you see in the forest. If the same light appears twice in different places, stop writing immediately. At first, I didn't think much of it. Lights in a forest could mean anything. Campers, hikers, maybe even other towers I didn't know about. It made sense to log them. That part felt like an actual job. So when the sun finally dropped and the darkness settled in, I grabbed the logbook and sat by the window, scanning the tree line. For a while, nothing. Then I saw it, a small white light, far out between the trees. Not flickering, not moving, just there. I leaned forward, narrowing my eyes, trying to figure out distance. It was too steady for a flashlight, too dim for a vehicle. It didn't make sense, but it was definitely there. I wrote it down. 2114. White light, northeast sector. Stationary. I kept watching it, waiting for it to disappear or move or give me some clue as to what it was. 10 minutes passed. Then I blinked, and it wasn't in the same place anymore. I sat up straighter, scanning the area where it had been. Nothing. Then I saw it again. Closer. Same brightness. Same stillness. Different position. My hand tightened around the pen. Maybe I just misjudged the distance. Maybe it had always been there. Maybe I was overthinking it. I lowered my eyes to the logbook, ready to write the new position. And then I remembered the second line. If the same light appears twice, stop writing immediately. I looked back up. The light was still there. Watching. I slowly closed the logbook. And for the first time since arriving, I felt like I was being observed. Rule 2. The radio will check in every hour. If it asks for your full name, do not respond. At exactly 9 p.m., the radio came to life. No warning, no soft build-up, Just a sharp click followed by a burst of static that made me flinch. Then a voice. Tower 3. Report. It sounded normal, calm, professional. Relief hit me immediately. Finally. Something real. Something human. I grabbed the mic. Tower 3 here. All clear. For a second, I thought that was it. Just a routine check. Then the static returned. Not loud this time. Low. Breathing through the speaker like something alive. I frowned, leaning closer. Hello. Silence. Then, very quietly, say your full name. My stomach tightened. The voice had changed. It wasn't professional anymore. It wasn't even clear. It sounded close. Too close, like it wasn't coming through the radio, but from the other side of it. I didn't answer. The breathing got heavier. Go on, it whispered. Say it. My grip on the mic loosened. I remembered the rule. If it asks who you are, it already knows. Slowly, I placed the mic back down. The breathing stopped instantly. Then the radio clicked off. No static, no fade, just silence. I stepped back, heart pounding, trying to convince myself it was some kind of interference. A crossed signal, a prank, but deep down, I knew it wasn't, because as I stood there, staring at the radio, I realized something else. It had said, Tower 3. No one had ever told me which tower this was. Rule 3. Never shine the spotlight directly below the tower. There is nothing beneath you. I didn't plan to break that rule. Honestly, I didn't even think about it again after reading it. It sounded like one of those weird instructions meant to mess with your head. But around midnight, something changed. It started as a faint sound. So faint I thought it was just the wind shifting through the trees again. A soft scraping, uneven, dragging across something rough. I froze and listened. There it was again. Closer this time. Not in the forest. Below me. I moved slowly toward the window, every instinct telling me to stop, to step back, to ignore it, but curiosity pushed harder. I leaned forward, trying to see the base of the tower without using the spotlight. Nothing. Just darkness. Then the sound came again. A slow circle. Whatever it was moving around the base. Tracking it. Following the tower's shape. My chest tightened as I reached for the spotlight handle. I didn't even realize I was doing it at first. It just felt natural. Logical. You hear something. You look. My fingers wrapped around the switch. I hesitated. The rule. There is nothing beneath you. That didn't make sense anymore. Because something was definitely there. The scraping stopped. Silence fell again. But this time it wasn't empty. It felt aware. I leaned a little further over the edge, trying to catch a glimpse without turning the light on. And that's when I saw it. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. Two pale shapes, just at the edge of the darkness. Looking up, I pulled back instantly, heart slamming against my ribs. I never turned the light on. But I knew something now. The rule wasn't telling me there was nothing below. It was warning me not to confirm what was. Rule 4. At 2:13 a.m., you may hear something climbing. If the steps don't match the ladder, lock the hatch immediately. I kept checking the time without realizing it. Every few minutes, my eyes drifted to the clock like I was waiting for something to happen. Or hoping it wouldn't. When it hit 2:12, I stood up without thinking. At 2:13, it started. A metallic sound echoed up the tower. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Step, pause, step. I moved toward the hatch, my breathing already uneven. Step, pause. I began counting. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm felt wrong almost immediately. 4. No. It skipped. 5. Then 8. Then 12. I froze. The ladder didn't have gaps. It didn't skip. It was a straight climb. 47 steps. I counted them earlier. This thing wasn't using them properly. The steps kept coming. Closer. Louder. The metal groaned slightly under the weight, but not consistently. It was like whatever was climbing didn't need every step. Like it was choosing where to touch. I backed away from the hatch and reached for the lock. My hands shook as I slid it into place. The climbing didn't stop. It reached the top, right outside the hatch. Silence. Then, a single, slow knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just patient. I held my breath. Another knock. Then a voice. Soft, familiar. Hey, open up. My stomach dropped. It was my voice. Exactly my voice. Same tone, same rhythm. Perfect. Come on, it said. It's cold out here. I didn't move, didn't answer, didn't even breathe. The voice waited, then softly laughed, and began climbing again. But this time, it wasn't going down. Rule 5. If you see another watchtower in the distance, there isn't one. Do not acknowledge it. By 3 a.m., I had stopped trusting anything I saw or heard. The tower didn't feel like a safe place anymore. It felt like a trap suspended above something that was slowly closing in. That's when I noticed the light. Far out beyond the trees. Higher than it should have been. My eyes narrowed as I focused on it, trying to understand the angle. Then it hit me. It wasn't on the ground. It was elevated, at the same height as me. A tower. There was another tower out there. Same structure, same shape. Impossible. I leaned closer to the glass, squinting into the darkness. And then I saw movement. Inside it, a figure, standing near the window, watching. My chest tightened as the figure slowly stepped closer, becoming clearer in the dim light. It raised its arm, not waving, pointing, directly at me. I stepped back immediately, shaking my head. No, I forced myself to look away. The rule, do not acknowledge it, but my eyes kept drifting back. And when I looked again, the figure was closer, not in its tower, in mine, reflected in the glass, right behind me. Rule 6. If the forest goes completely silent, lie flat on the floor. Windows are not protection. I didn't notice when the sound stopped. That was the worst part. 1 second I was listening to the faint creaking of the tower, the distant whisper of wind. And the next, nothing. Not quiet, not calm, dead. My body reacted before my mind did. I dropped flat onto the floor, pressing myself against the cold wood, barely daring to breathe. The silence pressed in from every direction. Then, a sound, inside the tower, a slow, dragging step. I shut my eyes tight. Another step, closer. I could hear it moving around me. Circling, not rushed, not searching. It knew exactly where I was. I felt the floor shift slightly under its weight. Then it stopped, right beside me. I held my breath so long my chest burned. Something leaned down. I could feel it, close enough that the air changed. Heavy, warm, waiting. I wanted to open my eyes. I didn't. Seconds stretched. Or minutes. I couldn't tell. Then slowly, it moved away. The silence broke. Sound returned all at once. The wind, the trees, everything crashing back like it had never left. I stayed on the floor. Too afraid to move. Because I knew one thing for sure now. The tower didn't keep things out. It let them in. I don't remember picking up the logbook again. But somehow, it was in my hands. Open. Pages filled. Not just with my entries. With everything. The light, the radio, the climbing. All of it written out in detail. Perfect detail. My breathing grew shallow as I flipped through the pages faster. Dates I didn't recognize. Times I hadn't lived yet. Then I reached the last written page. My eyes locked onto a single line. Don't let him look down. My stomach twisted. That wasn't my handwriting. It was rougher, messier, like it had been written in a hurry. Or fear. I turned the page. Blank. I exhaled slightly, then froze. Ink began to form, right in front of me. Letters pressing into the page like something invisible was writing them. Slowly, carefully. He's about to. The pen wasn't moving. No hand. No sound. Just words appearing. I dropped the book, stumbling back. And without thinking, I looked toward the window. Rule 3. I broke it. I stepped toward the edge of the tower, every part of me screaming to stop, but something stronger pulled me forward. I had to know. I leaned over and looked down. At first, nothing, just darkness swallowing the base of the tower. Then it shifted, not the darkness itself, but something within it. A shape, clinging to the tower, close, too close. My breath caught as it slowly tilted its head upward. And I saw its face. My face. Exact. Perfect. But wrong. The eyes were deeper. Hollow. Like something was looking out through them instead of from behind. It smiled. Not wide. Not exaggerated. Just enough. Like it understood something I didn't. Then, it moved. Not climbing. Not jumping. It just wasn't there anymore. I stumbled back, heart racing, and hit something behind me. Warm, solid, breathing. The radio clicked on. Tower 3. Report. I couldn't move, couldn't turn. The thing behind me didn't touch me. Didn't grab me. It just stood there, close enough that I could feel its presence. Its breath. Slow, calm, waiting. My voice came out before I could stop it. Tower 3 here. But it didn't sound like me. Not anymore. The radio crackled. Then, my voice answered back. From outside. I turned slowly. The window reflected the inside of the tower. And in it, I saw myself, standing still, smiling, watching me. The paper on the desk shifted. I looked down. A new line had appeared. Stay in the tower. I understood then. This wasn't a job. It was a cycle. A replacement. I wasn't leaving. I wasn't going home. And somewhere, out in the forest, another light appeared, waiting for the next person to log it. The logbook was never meant to be found. If you're hearing this, it means someone already took my place. They'll tell you the job is simple. Watch the forest, report the lights, follow the rules, but they won't tell you the truth. The tower doesn't protect you. It watches you. And once you see it, once you hear it, once you understand the rules, you're already part of it. If you ever find yourself on a road that isn't on your map, and you see a tower above the trees, don't stop, don't look up, and whatever you do, don't take the job.